Republicans in the state of South Carolina are taking their attacks on vaccines to a whole new level. Republicans in the state have now proposed legislation that has already been sent to committee that would make it illegal to ask someone in the state their vaccination status. If you are a government building, if you're a private business, doesn't matter, you ask somebody their vaccination status, and you're going to be in big trouble. Because this law carries penalties of either $14,000 per offense or up to 1 year in prison for asking somebody if they're vaccinated. And of course, this is not aimed at, people on the street. You can't walk past somebody and say, "Are you vaccinated?" and then get thrown in jail. This is for businesses mainly. Because they don't want businesses to have vaccine passports. They don't want anybody to walk into a restaurant and have to show a vaccine card because, oh my God, how difficult is that? And if the host at that restaurant comes up and says, "Hey, we've got a policy here, you got to show us your card," then that host or hostess is going to be fined $14,000 or spend a year in jail because it is any representative of the entity itself. Not just the entity, folks. So we're talking about putting grocery store workers, restaurant employees, retail workers, all of the people, no offense to them, but the lowest people on the totem poles, they're the ones who are going to be punished by this. This is why it's doubly disgusting. Because it says any representative of the entity that asks. That's the way the law is written. Do I think this would hold up in court? Absolutely not. I think this bill was designed to fail. And we see that happen a lot. Republicans come up with these crazy, insane pieces of legislation that's designed to basically get their base super energized, but totally fail in court. And part of the reason for that is because everybody pays attention when it gets passed. Everybody's already forgotten about it by the time the courts strike it down, and typically the media doesn't cover those things with any kind of emphasis. It's a side note here. A side story on the Associated Press website that hardly anybody goes to for their actual news anyway. Nobody sees it. They just remember that they did it. And the politicians get all the points for trying. But this is ass backwards right now. We're still, as a country, averaging over 2,000 deaths per day. 2,000 deaths per day from COVID. And Republicans from coast to coast have decided we're siding with the virus. We don't want people to protect themselves. And we sure as hell don't want the people who didn't protect themselves to feel any kind of discomfort. Why should they suffer when they're out there spreading more of the virus than anybody else? When they're the ones out there clogging up hospital beds? Kind of hard to have sympathy for these people at this point. But it's very easy to have anger when they put forth legislation that could end up throwing people in jail for doing the very simple task of trying to protect themselves and the patrons of their business. This is Hattie. Hattie wants to know why you have not subscribed to our channel. You obviously like our videos, so do us a favor and subscribe.